Good evening. Hello, I hope you had a good week. Just give it a moment while people join us. You might notice there's some difference in the appearance of the stream. We have finally replaced that camera that was dying on us. But bear with us while we try and work out exactly how to use it, and we sort out lighting and things that work with this camera. The old camera had built-in halo lights and all sorts. This is a better quality camera, but it relies on its ability to adjust the lighting. So if I look a little weird, well, it's probably genetics actually, but if we have problems with it, I apologize in advance. We're going to try and get used to using it and working out all the technology that goes with it as it goes on. It's an exciting time of year. If you're a small child growing up in Somerset, this was always one of my favorite weekends, this next few weeks, because it was the beginning of Carnival season. And so year on year for all through my growing up, there was the weekends of Carnival starting in Bridgewater, which is probably the biggest of them, and one which has a unique celebration that finds its roots back in the English Civil War, where they finish with squibbing. And if I can find a royalty-free video of that, I'll post it in the comments below. The link for tonight's session in our social media, so you can go and have a look. If you're not from around here, just the idea of firing big showers of molten metal up and down a street lined with families would seem like the strangest thing imaginable, but there is something unique about the way us Somerset folk like to celebrate at this time of year. Anyway, it was always exciting because it was the gloves off moment for getting ready for Christmas, getting ready for all the festivities and celebrations that were coming. We'd be fully into the swing of rehearsing carols and stuff for Christmas concerts at school, and all those different things would go on. And so it's still to this day, although, it comes fairly early, I would say, for a lot of people. It still feels to me like it's the start of what I guess you might call the festive season. And folks who know us know we have strong ties to a lot of dear people in America, that we love it a lot. And so we also are minds turned towards Thanksgiving. And for all of the perhaps difficult things of the history of that celebration, nevertheless, November for us has become a month of thankfulness, a month of giving thanks to God for his blessings during the year and the things that he has done for us. Of course, with the festive season comes every year now an increasing amount of opportunism for those who want to drag us into culture wars, those who want to find offense in the celebrations of others and the kindness of strangers, those who are not satisfied to just watch people trying their best to have a good time. And so before we get into it, before we get too far down that line, tonight I want to talk about the problems there are with the culture of offense, the problems there are with those who get so wound up about this celebration. And I could tonight go through some of the things that are traditions which, as a Christian, I'm not particularly comfortable with. I could list the things that I personally, me and my house, we choose not to participate in. We've just had Halloween, and that causes no end of debate and discussion. But tonight, instead of looking at what I don't wish to celebrate, I want to encourage you to think about what you can celebrate. And not just that, but to think about what you can celebrate 365 days of the year. At the heart of the opportunities that we have at this time of year, the chance is to speak about our faith. It's to declare the fact that Jesus is given, that he takes human form, that he becomes as one of us for our sakes. It's to declare the mercy of God and the grace of God, to declare his involvement and his compassion, and the fact that he endured a life filled with all the things that we also endure, so that he is familiar with our sorrow, familiar with our challenges, with our struggles. And in that life, he was victorious. He overcame all the troubles of this world. We have an opportunity because it has become the excuse for a lot of social behavior. Our society wants to indulge in it. And there's lots of how they indulge in it that we might have issue with. There's lots of things in it which actually cause harm. There's lots of things where we might have to step back and say, no, we will be compassionate to others. We will care for others. We will not indulge in excess, maybe. But so much of the culture war that is stirred up, so much of the offense and the aggression that gets stirred up today is not about the things that harm people. It's about things that really shouldn't offend us at all. It seems every year, earlier and earlier, we start getting Christmas adverts, but almost as soon as we get the first Christmas advert, somebody will send out some meme or some email or say something in the media about, oh, you know, I wish people wouldn't say happy holidays. I wish they'd say happy Christmas. If you're offended by people saying happy holidays because they don't know what holiday you're going to be celebrating, given that there are an awful lot of things at this time of year which people of different opinions, faiths, and beliefs celebrate, you have to ask yourself, would you really be upset if people had a happy holiday? Are you offended because people want you to have a good time, a peaceful time, a joyful time? And why do we make such a fuss at Christmas when for the rest of the year we don't concern ourselves with the fact that the world is ignoring the one that we celebrate? One of the most famous verses in the whole of the Psalms is Psalm 118, verse 24. It says this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And there's a couple of things going on in Psalm 118 when it refers to this is the day. One is that it is referring dispensationally in God's purpose to a day, to the day of the favor and the vengeance of God, to the day of the arrival of Messiah, of the promised one, of God bringing salvation. But the rest of the psalm is also talking about God who saves, God who delivers, God who heals, God who is our refuge and strength, God who is our peace, the security, the hope, the joy that we have in Christ. And it doesn't say this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad because of it, or be glad in what it has, or we will rejoice about it. No, it says this is his day. And in his day, we have reasons to rejoice, even though the day itself, as Jesus promises us, is going to have enough trouble of its own. It's in. It's not for. There's another verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:18. This is one which often gets quoted. It says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. The in there means in, not for. It doesn't say for everything give thanks. It says in everything give thanks. And it doesn't mean the everything is the will of God for you. It means the giving thanks is the will of God for you. That no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, no matter what you endure, no matter your circumstances, you have reasons to give thanks. And so over these next couple of months, when somebody says happy holidays, you have reason to give thanks. When somebody else is celebrating in a way that you would not choose to celebrate, you have a reason to give thanks. If this year is a tough year, and with the economic situation and inflation and the cost of living crisis and just everything that's happening in the world, you might say, well, there's lots of reasons to be fearful and lots of reasons why this year we can't do what we would normally do. This year we can't have the celebration. This year we're going to have to cut back, and it's going to be handmade gifts and just sharing time with people. Maybe this year you've been through loss. Goodness knows these last 3 years, enough of us have suffered loss on a scale that we never imagined before the pandemic happened. And so there might be all sorts of sorrows and circumstances. But the reason to give thanks and the reason to rejoice is the same in this season. It'll be the same on the 25th of December as it is today, as it was in the middle of summer, as it was back when we celebrated resurrection, as it was at the start of the year. There is no time when the reasons for rejoicing are shaken by the circumstances in which we need to cling to that hope. I don't know what you're facing right now. Culturally, we have this thing about Mondays, don't we? Well, tomorrow's a Monday. And I don't know what you're going to have to do tomorrow. I don't know what challenges you face. I don't know what questions you're going to have to answer and what questions you need to have answered. I don't know what suffering you're enduring in your body or in your mind. I don't know what difficulties in your circumstances, but I know this, that God never leaves you or forsakes you when you put your trust in him. So that is a reason to give thanks. And I know that no matter what trouble the day has, that he has sufficient grace to get you through it. That God is for you, so nothing can succeed against you. That he is your ever-present help, that he will be your wisdom if you ask him. That he can be your peace in the midst of any storm. And that alone is reason to rejoice. Not because the day might be challenging, but because God is with you in it. People have arguments these next couple of months over, do you have Father Christmas or don't you? Do you have Christmas trees or don't you? Do you spend lots of money on presents or don't you? Do you give to certain charities or don't you? What do you do in services? Do you sing carols? Do you not sing carols? How do you share the gospel? How do you not share the gospel? There'll be all sorts of debates. People will have arguments over whether you use an X to write Christmas or you write the full word out. People will say all sorts of things because their ire will have been raised, because they're under stress and pressure because of the expectations of the world. But if you are one of God's people, then just like Psalm 118, the reason for rejoicing is all about salvation. The reason for rejoicing is all about the fact that he is your hope and your treasure. The reason for rejoicing is because of Jesus, and it's true today like it will be on the 25th, and it'll be true if you put on the most spectacular family gatherings and you're surrounded by your loved ones, and it'll be true if you're on your own with nothing but memories. If you're sorrowful, he will sit and weep with you. Like we talked about last Sunday night, he's the God of all comfort, and he can be your comfort. If you're joyful, well, we should rejoice with those who rejoice. The Bible says, and we looked at this a couple of weeks ago, that we should bless even those who are our enemies, who persecute us, who despitefully use us, that we should bless and not curse, that we should love and that we should do them good. So over these next few months, if you want the world to see that you're the children of your Father in heaven, if you want the world to understand that you are celebrating something that you know and that you experience, that Emmanuel, God with us, is not just for Christmas, but every day, every breath, every circumstance. You want the world to know that you're not rejoicing because you're saved up and you've got some special presents coming, but because you really believe in the promise of Jesus given for the sins of the whole world, Jesus given in victory, Jesus given in life, Jesus who's familiar with everything that we go through, Jesus who loved us enough to become as one of us. And over these next couple of months, bless and do not curse. Show kindness. Treat people with his goodness and his mercy. And so when that shop assistant says happy holidays, just smile and bless them. And when you see in the media the stories of the excess and the terrible, just pressures that people are under at this time of year to spend money they don't have and to engage in behavior which is destructive, Don't condemn, but pray God's salvation. And if there are people in your life who are involved in things and you think, I just wish they weren't, give them an alternative. Share your peace with them. Share your joy with them. And if you're being tempted to try and keep up with the Joneses because it looks like they're going to have a really spectacular time, don't. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Celebrate God's goodness that they're able to. Don't get drawn into competitiveness and toxic behavior just because that's how the world behaves. And between now and the 25th of December, commit yourself every day to give thanks for Jesus, to give thanks for his presence and his life, to give thanks for his salvation and his hope and his mercy, to give thanks that he is your treasure, incorruptible and undefiled, that doesn't fade away. There's an old song. When we used to do beach missions, we used to sing it on our way there in the minibus. I've got something that the world can't give and the world can't take it away. Your experience of Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, is not going to be diminished because other people don't acknowledge him. Your rejoicing in who he is not going to be based on the quality of the turkey or whatever it is you do on Christmas Day. It's not going to be based on how many parties you go to and how perfect your Christmas services are. It's not going to be based on whether you get all the right cards out or you get the right presents. It's not going to matter, any of that. It's not going to be based on whether or not you manage to drum it into people that he's really the reason for the season. Because the truth be told, for most of the world, actually, he's not the reason for the season. He's just the excuse. You need to show them the difference in your life. You need to show them that you love like he loves. You need to show them that you celebrate the good. You need to show them that you're not offended, because love doesn't easily take offense. In a few weeks' time, our American friends will be celebrating Thanksgiving. It's a difficult moment in American culture because it's based on what is fundamentally a myth. But in amongst it, a lot of really lovely people will be reuniting with their families and will be giving thanks. And for Americans, it has a lot of the same struggles that perhaps in the UK we're more familiar with around Christmas, of loneliness and isolation and those things. And then straight after Thanksgiving, there'll be this madness of Black Friday and all the pressures to consume and all the things that go on, and people just losing their minds over stuff. And it would be easy to get judgy. It would be easy to condemn them. But when you see the pictures of the folk queuing all night long for the chance at an appliance that maybe they couldn't afford the rest of the year, when you see middle-aged people fighting over PlayStations, so often it's because they know it's the only chance they have to give their kids something that they have begged for and pleaded for and negotiated for all year. When you see people behaving like that because they have nothing else to base their life on, instead of condemning them, why don't you pray the goodness of God for them? Why don't you pray that they might be set free? Pray that God would prosper them and bless them and give them peace. And don't you go getting sucked into it either. There will be those who don't know God because they haven't got his love in them. Those who don't treat people as though they were behaving that way towards Jesus, which after all is the challenge that he gives us. Whatever you did to the least of these, you did to me. Those who see it as an opportunity for political influence. Those who make their money out of clicks on social media, which is fueled by anger and doom scrolling. Rage generates more traffic to a website than kindness ever did. And they will want to stoke culture wars. They don't care about what we believe. They don't care about why people are celebrating Christmas. They couldn't care less about the fact it's meant to be about Jesus. They are not interested in any of it. Don't let them manipulate you. Love people. Show kindness. Be gracious. Show mercy. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Plan to share your light, your peace, your goodness with the world around you. And if someone says happy holidays, well, bless them. Bless them right back. It's our thoughts for this evening. Don't forget, you can check out the details below these videos to get in touch with us. We're always just thrilled to hear from you. If there's things you want us to pray for, you can get in touch that way and message us and we'll pray. You don't even have to tell us what it is. Just say, look, I need prayer right now, and we will pray. God knows where you're at. He knows what you need. We pray that you have a blessed week. And like I said, if you're curious about the rather strange tradition of squibbing that we have around here and you like fire, I'll see if I can get hold of a video or two and put them in the comments below the social media posts that pointed to tonight's talk. God willing, we'll see you next Sunday.